Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of the CSM podcast. Today, we will be landscaping the topic of graduating students and their admissions into universities. Here we have with us Ms. Noor, our expert. Since the year of 2009, she's been tackling this topic with our students. Since 2009, and including this academic year, we have had 792 graduates. That includes the 3 campuses of the Classical School of the Meads. Ms. Noor, welcome again with us.
Thank you for having me today.
And we would like to ask a few questions that would help our families and graduating students to apply into universities, whether in the country or abroad. Our first question would be to you, are there enough seats? Does the government facilitate enough seats for our students when they graduate from the school?
Good evening, Ms. Farah, and thank you for hosting me on the second episode. The graduation process and the requirements is a very nostalgic topic, at least for me. I've done the process at CSM since the year of 2009, since you've mentioned that. And this is CSM's 15th graduating year. Class of 2025 in Slimani will be the 16th graduating year. The acceptance of the students of the classical school into the universities is a meticulous process, let's say, that happens between the school and the Ministry of Education and the higher education. The requirements for entrance is set by the Council of Ministers, and let's say the Kurdistan government region has come a very long way into making regulations into how international students could be accepted. It started from simple meetings until now there are laws that international schools have to follow in order to enter the university. Can they be accepted at Kurdistan universities? Absolutely. Governmental and private at the same time. The process is dealt through the school and the families of our high school students, which means grade 9 to 12. It's explained throughout the years through different, let's say, meetings and seminars or one-on-one with the parents and the students. But the final year, the grade 12 year, that's where everything, let's say, comes together in order to prepare the students to get accepted in the universities.
Have we ever faced a problem where a student has graduated from the Classical School of the Meads and there's no room for them at any university? Have we ever faced that?
According to the Council of Ministers, 10% of the acceptance seats are allocated to international schools, whether they're American system or British system or IB systems. In Kurdistan, the government has allowed a special quota for the students to be accepted. Now, there has not been a year for any international school in the Kurdistan region not to have the ability or the chance to apply. Now, their grades, their averages, let's say, plays a role. What they want to do and what's their target plays a role. But there has not been a case where a student is a lost case forever, let's say. There's always a chance to apply.
Well, that's good to know. Many families are worried about the case of not having enough seats in public universities. Next would be, what are students expecting to receive when they finish grade 12 at CSM? What are they expecting to receive from the United States, documentation-wise?
Classical School of the Meads follows the American academic system, let's say, where they require what's called a GPA. We've previously talked about this topic, but I'll briefly say the general point average is calculated through the high school years, grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. By the end of that process, the cumulative grade is reported on a transcript. So the first document they received is called a high school transcript. The second document is a graduation diploma. The diploma is awarded in the American system to high school graduates.
And this is to say, me as a school principal, the transcripts and the diplomas arrive to our campus from the state of Nashville, and we as principals communicate that to the parents and our seniors, and they come and pick up their documents on campus.
That's correct.
How about their grades? Let's say we've already received their transcript, and a student wants to object on a certain grade or on their name. There's a mistake in the name. Can we do that after receiving the documentation from the United States?
The system of applying the grades or the personal information of the graduates is very detailed. It gets double-checked and triple-checked before it's actually put into, let's say, the school's website or database. So that process that you mentioned, the objections, errors, misspellings, this is filtered before the transcript is sent out. But let's say someone's transcripts arrive with a spelling mistake, with proof, like an ID proof, spellings can be corrected. But as grades, of course not. Grades are not changed or altered in any way or form. Objections are done on the report card level, meaning that students, upon receiving the report cards, go through the system of reviewing their grades, understanding why they received a certain grade. And once the school principal submits the final grade board, there are no changes to be done after that.
Now, to review that with families and interested students, transcripts coming from the United States include grades 9 through 12.
Correct.
How do we send that? How do we send our grades to the U.S.?
When the 3 schools are done with the 4 years, there is governmental paperwork, which is called Qaid Aam. That one has to be completed and completely locked. Then we transfer the digital grades into, we have a system, it's a computerized system that is sent to the school in the US, and that transfers the data into the transcripts. So CSM does not issue the transcripts right away, but it goes through that process first before we receive the transcripts.
That's good. Can students apply since having an American diploma and an American transcript? Can they apply to universities in the country, and can they apply abroad?
Application process depends on that country's, let's say, regulations. Speaking of the Kurdistan region regulations, yes, international schools, including the students of the Classical School of the Medes, are permitted to apply through Zancoline, receiving codes and then going into Zancoline and applying to both the parallel and the governmental universities. While applying to private universities is done through the students' contact directly with the private school or the private college, let's say. Applying abroad goes through the regulations of that country. Each country has its own regulations of what they need from, let's say, international examination types or grading system points, certain points that have to be met. But yes, of course, they can apply, they can ask the admissions of that university first, and then they proceed with the requirements of that university.
Well, since we have just finished with our finals and graduation is coming up, we are trying our best, and we have put this episode together to aid our graduates to apply to universities. And if you need any help, please feel free to contact us through our social media, and we will get back to you as soon as we find your question. Next coming up is the international exam required for their graduation? Do they have to do APs and SATs, roughly speaking, to graduate?
It's not required to graduate, but it is required to enter university. So you can graduate high school, receive your transcript and diploma, and not go to college if you wanted to. But if you are applying to college, you have to meet the criteria needed, which is GPA, SAT, and AP exams depending on the type of college and university each student is applying to.
So if a student has just finished high school at CSM and they have the required SATs and AP exams, can they apply to any university they wish to?
Of course. As soon as they receive their AP scores, verify the scores, and verify their SATs, receive their official documents, we have to wait for Zanco line to open up to apply to the public universities. But they can directly go to the private universities and talk to their admissions about the possibilities of getting in.
To sum up this episode, what do CSM students have as an advantage from graduating at CSM than any other private or international school?
CSM High School transcript and diploma does not offer just scientific or liberal arts. It's 2-in-1, so they can either apply to the scientific or the liberal arts, which is an advantage. The international exams is integrated. Let's say the courses and the studies, most of them are integrated within their normal courses. So we prepare not only for GPA, but at the exams at the same time. I would say those are two highly recommended advantages.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great having you with us. First of all, congratulations to our graduates this year. We wish you the best. If you need any help, please contact us. And let's look forward for our third episode with the founder of the Classical School, the Meads. Thank you very much.